What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm Tyler Smith, and today we're diving into a big-time quote coming from NBA Insider Marc Stein. Could a big move be coming for the Golden State Warriors this NBA season? We're going to dive all into it and what moves potentially Golden State could make that could make them a contender on the back half of today's show. But before we dive into all of that, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. If Golden State makes any sort of move, I mean, it could be a two-way contract signing. We're going to cover it here at the channel. And if they make a big-time trade, you know we're going to be diving into every single itty-bitty piece of what goes on with that move. So subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/WarriorsTV, to never miss an update around your Golden State Warriors and the offseason and into the regular season. Let's get into today's video. So Marc Stein, on his Substack, the Stein Line, reports that Golden State is plotting its next moves in the wake of unsuccessful trade pursuits of Paul George and Lauri Markkanen in the offseason. Team officials believe they remain well-positioned for a trade upgrade at some point in the next year or so after responding by acquiring Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield, and D'Anthony Melton on short-term deals and retaining all of their draft picks. The distinct sense at Chase Center is that the Clippers and Jazz, despite no shortage of conversation with both teams, did not really want to do business with the Warriors. Isn't that interesting? The Warriors and their winning expertise over the last decade has really created a disdain among the league against them. It seems like the Clippers and the Jazz, two Western Conference teams who, honestly, during the Warriors' glory days with Steph and Clay playing at their highest levels and Durant coming over for the 2-year stretch, the Jazz and the Clippers were two of those teams competing with the Warriors in the Western Conference. So it's clear to me now that the winning that Golden State has done over the past decade has really hindered their chances to do business with Western Conference foes because at the end of the day, those teams are jealous of the success that the Warriors have had, and they don't want to see them have any more success by gifting them the players on their roster. But with what Golden State wants to do moving forward, clearly Mike Dunleavy, the Golden State front office, Joe Lacob, everybody involved at the top for GSW believes that this roster has a low floor and really, to be honest, a limited ceiling. A low floor is putting it lightly because this team could be bad. Like, guys, I don't want the Golden State Warriors to be performing poorly, but this roster just isn't necessarily in a position to contend in the Western Conference. I think we all know that. And Stephen Curry can only take you so far. The young talent that you're kind of pushing all your chips toward the center of the table for can only take you so far in years 2 and, year 4 for Jonathan Kuminga. So, essentially, they're still looking at possibilities to make a big-time swing trade to add a second star next to Steph Curry. So, what could they give up in a potential deal? Well, we know that they don't want to give up Brandon Podziemski, and we know they don't want to give up Jonathan Kuminga. So I've decided not to include them in the Golden State trade assets in today's video. So Andrew Wiggins, he's on a $26.5 million deal. That's going to be a part of basically any big deal that you make as far as matching salary goes. And, Andrew Wiggins, solid 3-and-D player. Hopefully he can retain some sort of his form that he had in 2022. I'm not holding out hope on that, though. D'Anthony Melton, who they signed on a 1-year deal that could prove very, very valuable if D'Anthony Melton stays healthy and is performing well around December or around the trade deadline. Remember, D'Anthony Melton, Buddy Hield, and Kyle Anderson all become trade eligible in December. You have Gary Payton II, who opted into his $9.1 million player option. So there's another, pesky defensive backcourt player who can make an impact on that end of the floor and has a 9.1 very tradable contract there at $9.1 million. Buddy Hield the same way. I'm not necessarily sure that, they're going to want to deal Buddy Hield. He provides a really good sense of shooting and floor spacing for this Golden State team. And it's a very tradable contract, but it's not going to make the biggest wave in the sense of making salaries match in a deal. Kyle Anderson, same deal, $8.8 million from him. I think his value to Golden State will actually exceed his value elsewhere, so I'm not sure that they necessarily want to include him in any move. But, again, these guys aren't deal breakers. You can include any of these guys in any potential trade to improve this roster. Moses Moody, on the other hand, he is being dangled in trade talks. So his contract is nice and cheap. He is going to be due up for an extension, but his play to this point has not really warranted a big-time extension. I don't think teams are going to be afraid to make a move for him and then extend him in the future. Good, young 3-and-D player. And then Kevon Looney, $8 million. That's another salary filler. I don't think he's going to be affecting too many teams' pursuits too bad there. And then I decided to throw in Trayce Jackson-Davis. I don't think Golden State's going to want to move on from him because such cheap contract, such long-term control you have of Trayce Jackson-Davis. Still 3 more years of team control for Trayce Jackson-Davis, and he's probably not even going to exceed $3 million a year. So I'm not sure that they want to make that deal, but I just had to get another guy in there when it's all said and done. As far as the draft picks that we're talking about here, they retained all of them. They have not traded any first-round picks for the next couple of years, 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028. They own all of their first-round picks as well as 2029. In 2030, they have a 1 through 20 protection set on their pick that will be headed to Washington that they made in the Chris Paul and Jordan Poole deal. And then they again own their own 2031, excuse me. That's a crazy thing to think about, 2030s. They own their own first-round pick in that year, as well as 4 second-round picks over this time span. They have the 2 of the Atlanta Hawks and 2 of their own. But as far as kind of what Marc Stein was going back to earlier, I don't think that any move from Golden State will be made until December. That's when Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield, and D'Anthony Melton all become trade eligible. It gives Golden State a little bit more flexibility to kind of shop their team, kind of to be able to market their guys, saying, okay, we have these 3 guys who we just brought in on pretty cheap, short-term deals that are making a positive impact on our roster right now. We think we can send them off to another team that, would like their services or need their services even more, hoping to kind of create a possibility to make a big swing trade. I mean, sending those players to a potential team that's sending a superstar back to Golden State, I know it doesn't necessarily create a ton of intrigue for that team that's making the deal with Golden State, but Golden State is going to be able to match salaries by sending those players away in a deal, and whatever team that wants to make a deal with GSW come December will have their whole pick of the litter when it comes to any players that they want to match salaries on Golden State's roster. So, with that said, do you guys think there even needs to be major improvement to this roster? Are you cool with who they have set in place, rocking with Hield, Melton, Anderson, Kuminga, Podziemski, Moses Moody, Gary Payton? Are you cool with everybody remaining on this roster? Or do you think they need to trim a little bit of the fat as well as go make a big-time improvement secondary next to Steph Curry? If you think so, type Y for yes down in the comments. If not, you like the roster we got set right now, type N for no down below. I want to hear from Dub Nation. So next, we got some surprise trade targets who, if Golden State is trying to make a big swing move, could be hoping for this team to be in a position to make a big-time trade with them. We're going to talk about that on the back half of today's show. But before we do, today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stat types. We're talking rebounds in basketball. We're talking passing yards in football. We're talking goals in hockey. It doesn't matter. PrizePicks has it all. They even have esports. They have college sports. It's unbelievable. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that. And the promotions do not stop there. They got Taco Tuesdays, where they slash players' stat projections to help you hit easier. They got Flex Fridays, where you get your lineup back. You get your deposit back if you lose that lineup on Flex Fridays. So the possibilities are endless on PrizePicks. As far as what I've done on PrizePicks, I have been a customer long before they were a sponsor here at Chat Sports. And this weekend, we hit big on PrizePicks. For $125, we had Gardner Minshew to throw more than 64.5 passing yards. He had a big-time pitch and catch with Trey Tucker for 50 yards. That really helped out that square. Brandon Aubrey, more than 1.5 field goals made. He cashed that square on a 66-yard field goal. Unbelievable. We were so hyped when we saw that square cash. And then the big fight this weekend, Israel Adesanya with Dricus du Plessis. That fight to go less than 21 minutes. DDP choked out Adesanya in the 19th minute, late in the 4th round. What a cash here at PrizePicks. You can win real money in real time too. Just do it at PrizePicks. Download the app. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, what is Golden State looking for in a potential trade partner to make a big swing deal to match up a second scorer next to Steph Curry? Well, they're looking for a team to do bad. And who is that team? It's a Western Conference foe, the Phoenix Suns. They've underwhelmed since making their big 3 last season. They traded for Bradley Beal, pushing all their second-round picks into the middle of the table. Kind of a crazy deal when you look back at it. But Bradley Beal has not progressed well or not performed well for this big 3. It has not been what the Phoenix Suns have hoped for. So could Devin Booker or Kevin Durant be the big-time trade targets that Golden State needs in order to make a big swing deal and be a contender with Steph Curry in the twilight of his career? Well, it's very interesting because Phoenix is about as all in as you can be. They've made a big time trade for Kevin Durant. They sent Mikal Bridges and all their draft capital over to the Brooklyn Nets. They make a big time deal for Bradley Beal, where they lose a ton of depth and they send all of their second round picks. So the Suns don't control their next 6 NBA drafts. They have no future outside of these guys. And there's already been depth concerns with the Phoenix Suns. They lost Eric Gordon, who wasn't great last year, but was still a rotation piece for that team. They locked up Grayson Allen. They added Tyus Jones, who's a really, really underrated free agent addition for them. But I don't know if this team is necessarily going to reach the heights that other teams in the Western Conference are positioned to do, like the Thunder, the Mavericks, the Timberwolves. The Nuggets even. I don't know if Phoenix has the ceiling that those teams do. So Devin Booker, could he be a trade target? He just had a phenomenal performance in the Paris Olympics for Team USA. And to me, it felt like Steve Kerr was kind of recruiting Devin Booker out there. He played him a ton of minutes, and he had a lot of praise for the way that Devin Booker took his role and kind of played into this Steve Kerr system for Team USA. Here is what Steve Kerr had to say about Devin Booker at the end of the Olympics. He said during his end of the press conference, said, "Devin Booker is an incredible basketball player. Nobody asked about him. He was our unsung MVP. I just wanted to say that." So Steve Kerr seems to really like Devin Booker, really likes his style of play. And we know that Steve Kerr is going to be the coach of the Golden State Warriors for the foreseeable future. So I'm sure that he is in the back of his mind, not necessarily telling the front office to go make a big push for Devin Booker, because we know that's not available right now. But we do need to be keeping an eye on the Phoenix Suns situation and how Devin Booker is feeling about the current state of the Suns and his championship pursuits. Got very close in 2021. Could be a lot closer if you paired up next to Steph Curry and a deep, complete roster. Now, Mark J. Spears with a tweet as well, kind of coming from Devin Booker's perspective. He says, "This experience was totally different from the first one." This is coming from Devin Booker. Not taking anything away from that, but the atmosphere, obviously Stephen, LeBron joining us, this experience is going up there with any experience in my lifetime, USA guard Devin Booker said. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a backcourt of Stephen Curry and Devin Booker? I mean, the highlight plays from beyond the arc would be absolutely unbelievable. And Devin Booker is another one of those guys who's at the age where he would be a perfect complement next to Stephen Curry, and he'd still be able to take the next era of Golden State basketball into the future. He's not even 30 years old yet. It's crazy that he's going into year 10 in the NBA, but this is a guy who is perfect next to Steph Curry. And if Phoenix is imploding, then I would love to see Golden State make a big-time push to go and acquire Devin Booker. But at the same time, I'm always holding out hope for a Kevin Durant return. I mean, he's still playing at an elite level. Looked all the part of a superstar during the Paris 2024 Olympics. And last season, I mean, unbelievable efficiencies, 52% from the field. I think he was plus 40% from three. I mean, 27 a game. You're not getting that from many guys in basketball history. Golden State has already seen what Kevin Durant can do and how he fits next to Stephen Curry and the heights that he's going to be able to take this Golden State Warriors organization. I'm all in on bringing back KD, but, doesn't seem like Phoenix is necessarily dangling him or Booker for that matter in any trade talks right now. You can never count out Kevin Durant, though, and how he feels about his current situation. Could always want to jump ship in the near future. This could be at the drop of the hat. We don't know about Kevin Durant. He's the most unpredictable superstar of all time. But like I said, Golden State is hoping for an implosion from Phoenix. They are hoping that this goes so poorly in year 2 of this big three that Phoenix is deciding to blow it up and go and taking back their future with the crop of picks that Golden State has to offer. I believe they could trade 2 to 3 unprotected firsts right now. So I would see this being a big time opportunity for Golden State to go and pursue one of these 2 players for Phoenix. But even then, if Phoenix is bottoming out and they're looking like a play-in team this year, they're still going to be in the mix, playing elimination-style basketball in the spring. So even if they're not playing to expectations, I don't see them necessarily moving Booker or Kevin Durant this season. So unfortunately, I don't see either of these moves coming anytime soon. But I would really like Golden State to try to make a push for Devin Booker if there's visible frustrations out there, and the Phoenix Suns are not performing up to their standards. But with that said, we don't know any available superstars that could pair up next to Steph Curry at this point. So who's your guy? Name a player that would make Golden State a contender down in the comments section. I want to hear from Warriors Nation. I want to hear from Dub Nation on this topic as to who could be the guy that takes this team back to the heights that they've been accustomed to over the past decade. And that'll do it for today's Golden State Warriors video. Make sure you are subscribed at youtube.com/WarriorsTV for any Golden State Warriors trade rumors, any quotes that come out from an NBA insider about what Golden State's plans are for the future. Like we got today, we're going to make a video about it right here on the channel so you don't miss a moment. Subscribe now. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.